Warwick, New York, a quiet, picturesque town in the Hudson Valley, known for its historic charm and peaceful communities. The kind of place where people still know their neighbors by name, where families have lived for generations, where life moves at a rhythm different from the rest of the state. But right now, a storm is brewing over this town. A $54 million storm. Recently, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, the corporate entity behind Jehovah's Witnesses, made a massive acquisition. They bought a sprawling 68-acre, 400,000-square-foot data center from tech giant Kyndryl. This is not a modest office building. This is not a small annex tucked away behind a kingdom hall. This is a fortress of servers, fiber optics, and heavy-duty power grids. A facility built by IBM, one of the most sophisticated technology companies on the planet, designed to handle industrial-scale computing loads. And now it belongs to a religion. But this is not just a story about a religious group expanding its digital footprint. This is a story about money, about municipal survival, about a controversial legal loophole that could force everyday citizens to foot the bill for a global religious empire. Today, we are investigating the fiscal bomb just dropped on Warwick, New York, and the real cost of religious tax exemption. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear will change the way you look at every tax bill that arrives in your mailbox. Point 1. The evaporating tax base. To understand the panic in Warwick, you have to understand the math. And the math here is brutal. For years, the IBM, and later Kyndryl, data center was a commercial powerhouse. It was not just a building, it was an economic engine. As a commercial property valued at an estimated $54 million, it was a massive contributor to the local tax base. Think about what that means in practical terms. Every single year, millions of dollars flowed from this facility into the town's budget. That money funded local schools. It paid for road maintenance. It supported police departments, fire services, sanitation, and the countless essential public services that a functioning town requires. For decades, this property carried its weight. It paid its share. It was a partner in the community, whether the executives who ran it ever set foot in Warwick or not. But overnight, that massive stream of revenue is in danger of completely evaporating. And here is the part that residents find so difficult to accept. The property isn't disappearing. The land is still there. The building is still there. The roads leading to it still need paving. The emergency services still need to respond if something goes wrong inside those walls. The water infrastructure, the power grid connections, the municipal oversight, all of it remains exactly the same. The municipal costs do not change. The demands on the town do not change. The only thing that changes is who pays for it. Point 2. The 401(a) loophole. So how is this possible? How can a $54 million industrial facility simply stop paying taxes? Enter New York State Law 420(a). This statute provides mandatory property tax exemptions for real estate owned by corporations organized exclusively for religious, charitable, or educational purposes. And on its face, this law makes perfect sense. It was written with a specific and reasonable intention. Historically, this meant local churches did not have to pay property taxes. Neither did soup kitchens. Neither did non-profit schools serving underprivileged children. The logic was simple and humane. Institutions that provide direct community benefit, that operate without profit motive, that serve the public good, should not be taxed out of existence. Nobody objects to a small congregation being exempt from property tax on a modest building where 50 people gather on Sunday mornings. But here is where the law is being stretched to its absolute limits. How exactly does a high-security, 8.75 megawatt industrial data center qualify as a religious property? Let that number sink in. 8.75 megawatts. That is enough electrical capacity to power thousands of homes. This is not a chapel. This is not a place of worship. There are no pews inside. There are no congregants. There is no assembly. There are server racks, cooling systems, backup generators, security checkpoints. Watchtower claims this facility, internally dubbed the Blue Lake Facility, will house their internal databases, global communications, and the digital infrastructure for their website. And because these servers will technically process religious data, the organization is legally poised to wipe this $54 million property completely off the town's tax rolls. Think carefully about the precedent this sets. The argument being made is essentially this: the physical nature of the building does not matter. The industrial function does not matter. The scale does not matter. What matters is the content of the data passing through the fiber optic cables. If the ones and zeros are religious, the building is religious. It is a legal argument of remarkable creativity. And if it succeeds, it opens a door that may prove very difficult to close. Point 3. Shifting the burden to the citizens. Warwick Town Supervisor Jesse Dwyer has not stayed quiet about this. He has publicly voiced severe concerns about the financial impact this purchase will have on his community, and his fears are entirely justified. Here is the reality of municipal budgeting, and it is a reality that most people never have to think about. When a $54 million property stops paying taxes, the town's budget does not magically shrink to compensate. The schools still need funding, the roads still need repair, the salaries still need paying. The deficit has to be made up, somewhere, by someone. So who makes up that deficit? The local residents, the small business owners, the working-class families just trying to pay their mortgages, the retired couple on a fixed income who bought their house in 1985, the young family that just moved in last spring, stretching every dollar to afford their first home. If the exemption is fully granted, the tax burden of that 68-acre tech fortress will be redistributed across the entire town. Every homeowner absorbs a fraction of what that data center used to pay. Every small business absorbs a fraction. Every renter, indirectly, absorbs a fraction as landlords adjust to higher costs. Warwick residents could see a noticeable, permanent hike in their personal property taxes, simply because a multi-billion-dollar organization decided to move next door. And they had no say in it. No vote. No hearing that could have stopped it. The transaction happened between two private parties, and the consequences landed on an entire community. So we have to ask the uncomfortable question. Is it ethical for a town's working-class population to subsidize the digital expansion of an international media empire? Point 4. The Hudson Valley monopoly. To truly grasp the scale of what is happening here, we have to zoom out, because this data center acquisition is not an isolated incident. It is not a one-time opportunity that happened to present itself. It is the latest move in a massive, highly calculated real estate takeover of the Hudson Valley. Let's rewind to 2016. That year, Watchtower sold off its iconic Brooklyn properties, the buildings that had defined their presence in New York City for the better part of a century. The sale pulled in roughly $340 million. $340 million. In cash. From property that had been acquired decades earlier at a fraction of that value. They took that massive war chest and moved upstate, and they have been building ever since. Just down the road in Ramapo, they are currently laying the foundations for a staggering 1.5 million square foot audio and video production center. To put that in perspective, that is larger than most major Hollywood studio complexes. This is not a modest facility for recording hymns. This is industrial-scale media production infrastructure, and let's not forget the Woodbury Ridge apartment complex, purchased to house their volunteers. In that complex, local, paying tenants were systematically forced out so the organization could claim total exclusivity, and of course push for more tax exemptions. Real people, real leases, real families who had made homes there. Displaced so that a property could be converted into another exempt asset. Now step back and look at the map. A data center in Warwick, a media production complex in Ramapo, residential housing in Woodbury, world headquarters already established in the region. We are no longer looking at just a religion. We are analyzing a sophisticated real estate and technology conglomerate. They have their own media studios, their own data centers, their own luxury housing complexes, all tightly clustered, all heavily funded, and all aggressively shielded from taxation. Any secular corporation attempting to build this same footprint would be paying tens of millions of dollars annually in property taxes. Every square foot would be assessed. Every improvement would be taxed. But under the shelter of 420A, the meter simply stops running. Conclusion. The final verdict. The expansion of the Jehovah's Witnesses in upstate New York is a masterclass in exploiting legal frameworks. By leveraging their religious status, they are building Silicon Valley-level infrastructure while entirely bypassing the financial responsibilities that come with it. They enjoy the roads. They rely on the emergency services. They benefit from the stability of the communities around them, but they contribute nothing to the systems that make those things possible. For Watchtower, it is a brilliant financial strategy, legally sound, enormously profitable, executed with the precision of a corporation that has spent decades understanding exactly where the boundaries of the law sit and exactly how far they can be pushed. For the residents of Warwick, it is a $54 million anchor dropped directly onto their local economy. The law may say a server rack processing religious videos is a holy site deserving of tax immunity. The letter of the statute may permit it. The courts may ultimately uphold it. But when the local schools and infrastructure suffer to protect a billion-dollar corporate budget, we have to ask a question that no legal text can answer. Who is really paying the price for this expansion? The answer, as always, is the people who never had a choice. What are your thoughts on this? Should large-scale data centers and media studios owned by religious groups be forced to pay commercial property taxes? Or does religious freedom demand that we protect these exemptions no matter how large the property becomes? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. If you appreciate this deep dive into the facts, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, keep questioning the narrative.